Story out today, which says actually it's not just Brexit, it's smoking as well. If you're a smoker, you're much less likely to get a date online. Statistics saying that 51% of people say someone's attractiveness is immediately lessened when they have a cigarette in their hand. 48% of internet daters would swipe left on a smoker. Now, I'm going to ask my studio guests in just a minute their experience of this, because I happen to know that one of them has just given up smoking, so all power to his elbow. But I just want to tell you a bit more about this story now. Smokers are also more likely to be unemployed. Data shows that smokers are less likely to be in employment. We can't definitively say that there is a correlation there, but other studies have shown that those who smoke are less productive, which is probably because they're spending half their time outside having a fag rather than doing their work, and that quitting smoking vastly increases concentration and workplace efficiency. So what is the best way of quitting, and do any of these things ring true for you? Have you given up smoking and discovered that your productivity has gone through the roof, or actually have you given up smoking and found that it's been such a painful experience that work is the last thing on your mind? Or perhaps you are a smoker and have found dating or meeting people difficult, because they say it'd be like kissing an ashtray. Give us a ring or a text. The text number is 87222. Or, of course, you can give me a ring with your experiences. Did you give up smoking and suddenly you were inundated with romantic offers? 0344 499 1000. Well, to tell me more about this research is Simon Manthorpe from Vapemate. Good morning to you, Simon.
Good morning, Daisy.
Now, do we really believe that smokers are less productive, or do we think that's just a coincidence?
It's possibly coincidence. I mean, we're not drawing any inferences from the fact that we are seeing, people who smoke are less productive. Whether those two things are linked or not, is something for further research. But I think there has to be something in the fact that we've already seen 2.5 to 3 million smokers that have quit. And quite often quit through using electronic cigarettes. The reality is the 6-7 million people that are still smoking, even though there are a huge amount of ways of getting off of tobacco and stopping, then there must be something in there about poor life choice and maybe making bad decisions in various areas of life. So I think there's if you're still smoking now, when there are so many ways to quit, there's probably something about the choices you're making in life.
Well, presumably you want to continue smoking. Raoul, you have given up smoking. You're in the first flush of, you read the Alan Carr book, I think, and you're going cold turkey as we sit here.
Yes, Alan Carr's the easy way out. 30 hours, cold turkey, no nicotine, and I feel a million times better for it. And all these
amazing
facts I see here, I would 100% agree with. I genuinely think, obviously, I'm not a scientist. I can't derive causation, but from my own life experience, I would agree with the vast majority. The one thing I'd be slightly questionable over is this idea that smokers are less attractive. It's never been a problem for me getting a date, and this statistic particularly, 59% of, I think in history I was always taught to look at the source. They say 59% of people find somebody instantly unattractive when they have a cigarette in their hand. I'm not sure how true I find that.
I think there's a massive change to when we had the Hollywood, where every lead actor or actress would have a cigarette.
The cowboys, the hard men, the ladies, they would all have cigarettes, wouldn't they? But times have changed and people don't see it as sexy as we did in the cowboy days.
I think you're right, Anton, because when I was young, the kind of cool set really were all behind the bike shed smoking, and you wanted to be in that gang, so you took up smoking to be cool, and that's different now.
I've read more information or studies that say women prefer, for say a short fling or a foray, they would prefer a smoker because it's exciting, because it's a risk-taking behaviour.
Is that why you started smoking to begin with?
Many reasons for my addiction are multifaceted, but part of it. But I do think that if 59% of people think you're instantly more unattractive when you have a cigarette in your hand, with the utmost respect, my friend, I do believe that's probably 60% find you more unattractive if you have a vape in your hand.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, vaping is not considered very sexy, is it, Simon?
I think in part this is why there's still 6-7 million smokers, because for whatever reason the current generations of electronic cigarettes, there's something about them that haven't ticked the boxes. People know smoking kills them. People know it's not doing them any good. So if you're still smoking now, there's something about the methods of quitting that are just not ticking the right boxes.
So it's more of a psychological issue.
Well, possibly, but also to your point that sometimes they don't want to hold a great big thing and be blowing out an enormous, great big cloud. And I get that for some people that isn't what it's all about. When the first generation of electronic cigarettes came out, they looked like cigarettes. They were, they didn't make enormous clouds. They were very discreet. You could use them. They weren't particularly effective. And we've gone on a bit of a journey where they've got bigger and bigger and more powerful, and people have found that they're more effective, but they're also slightly off-putting to people who don't want to, carry a huge, great, big, bulky thing around with them.
Also, it seems like you'd say, I smoke, whereas when you're a vapor, it's like you're part of a little crew of people, whereas with smokers, you just happen to be a person that smokes.
I know we are running out of time, Simon, but I do want to ask you the other thing that has really worried me is I've discovered recently that friends of my 12-year-old daughter are vaping. And a lot of them, they're leaving school and they're pulling out a vape as they walk in their school uniform away from school, 12 years old. How can we stop that? Because that is clearly some sort of trend.
Well, I think there's clearly some, there's some irresponsible selling going on there because, we sell online, we have a retail store, we operate, a 21 plus policy. If you look under 21, we want CID. I think if kids have got them, then parents are either leaving them in places that it's easy for the kids to get hold of, or there are retailers who are responsibly selling them. And our site, Vapemate, and the same will go for everybody in the industry. There's age verification processes that buyers have to go through in order to buy the product. So it's, someone somewhere isn't doing
Someone somewhere is doing something naughty. Rahul?
Yeah, I would like to raise a point of contention about that, because even with their age of verification processes, like when you go into vape shops, and when I was first sort of thinking about quitting, I did go into a lot of vape shops there. They're very much like, you look at the flavours, you look at the colours, it's all bubble gum, it's bright pink, it's bright green, and they look like very cool places to be in. And part of the reason I did end up smoking is I grew up in a corner shop, and the packaging did have a massive effect on me. And when they changed that to grey packaging, I think genuinely for the long-term future, for the young kids and the future generations of smokers, it's a very good thing. Do you think perhaps there's an issue with vape shops making these shops so colourful, so appealing, and so just bright and flashy that it appeals to kids more so than adults?
I agree that I think the shops should be a bit more staid. I don't think there's no need to make them look like a sweet shop. But having said that, I think it's incredibly important. Flavours have played a phenomenal part in getting 7 million people to quit cigarettes. 3 million people to quit cigarettes. If all of the e-cigarettes that were available with tobacco and menthol flavour, people just wouldn't have quit in the numbers that they have. I mean, you'll hear that from all of the industry professionals. Martin Dockrell from Public Health England talked about it at length. It really has helped make the switch. I mean, I wouldn't have switched had it just been tobacco flavours.
Without the bubblegum. I am in such trouble, Simon, because I'm going to be very, very late for the news. But I was really enjoying that conversation. Simon Manthorpe from Vapemate.